Hi everyone, welcome back to the 120th. Today we are looking at my favourite camera, the BRONICA S2, and its very close relative, the BRONICA S2A. They are pretty much identical. Very hard to tell apart because all of the changes between the S2 and the S2A were basically inside the camera. So they've upgraded the internal workings, the wind-on mechanism, that kind of thing. Apparently it was in answer to some of the early adopters of the S2. They were getting a lot of jams and they were having problems with the wind-on gear. I've never had an issue. I have put maybe 30, 40 rolls of film through the S2 and nothing has ever jammed. So I don't know what that's about. You may ask why I have an S2 and an S2A. Obviously the easy answer is because I can. But the other answer is that I bought an S2 first. It was all I could find. It was all I could really afford. The S2s are slightly cheaper than the S2As when you're buying them used. But I've always I've had half an eye out for an S2A. And eventually one came up for the sort of price that I wanted to pay. So I bought that. And I now have both of them. And I'm not going to let go of the S2 until I've got the S2A working and until I've kind of proven that the S2A is going to make me just as happy as the S2 currently does. Interestingly, and I actually didn't realise this until this arrived, they did make them in different colours. So there's this kind of faux leather that's just glued to a lot of the surrounds, and in fact on the S2 you can see here that it's really sort of starting to peel away. I'll try and focus on that around the edges, and that is one of the big problems that you will find. I mean, it's not a big problem at all, is it? Let's be honest. But it is one of the problems that you will find with a lot of cameras of this age. Is essentially this glue is starting to break down where this faux leather is just stuck to the outside of it. The S2 was introduced in 1965, and BRONICA carried on making it through to 1977. So it's a late 60s, early 70s camera. The S2A was introduced in 1969, as I say, in answer to problems with the S2 and as a successor to the S2. And I believe they carried on making that until a similar sort of time. They were discontinued around the same sort of time. First impressions of the BRONICA S2. Personally, which one should we use? Let's use the S2 as our number one here. Personally, I think it is a great looking camera. Beautiful. That classic waist level finder on the top, and the handle crank to move to wind the film on. But my favourite thing by far about the BRONICA S2 and S2A is the following. No, I don't know if this is, no, it's not cocked yet, so this is wound on but not cocked. So we wind it on till it clicks. Now, please, quieten everything down. Tell your kids to be quiet for a minute. Turn the telly off. Turn the volume up on whatever you're watching this on and listen to this. Are you ready? Let's make sure I'm on a decent shutter speed first. 250 will be good. This is going to be good. Wait for it. Oh! Dark slide. You've got to take the dark slide out. Try again. Ready now? Let's do this again. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. How good is that? Huh? I love that sound. And then here's where we wind it on till you get to the end of that, and then it gets a bit stiff, and then you keep pushing and it goes clunk, and that is you resetting. So the beginning of the wind moves the film on, and then the end of the wind brings the mirror back up and sets it back into place and kind of recoils the spring, ready for your next frame. Now, good practice, by the way, is not to leave the shutter cocked if you're going to put this away for any amount of time. So it was actually quite good that it wasn't cocked when I've just taken it out of its kind of storage, or semi-storage. They are both Nickel P f2.8 75mm lenses. So that's what the camera shipped with. It shipped with a 75mm lens, and it's actually very, very difficult to find anything but 75mm lenses for these cameras. I've come across the occasional longer lens than that, and I am aware that there is at least one lens that is wider. I know that there is a 40mm that you can get, but they really are hard to find. I haven't seen many of them at all. I've only seen a couple come up, and I wasn't quick enough to snap them up. And they can be quite expensive. You can spend sort of 400 quid on just that lens, just that 40mm. I think it's a Zenza 40mm lens. Starting at the front, we have the 75mm lens is this bit here. This focusing ring is actually part of what they call a helicoid mount. So you can take this middle bit out, and if you change lenses, that's what you would take out. But what happens is you turn the helicoid mount, and that's what moves the whole lens in a kind of rotationally stationary way forward and back to allow the focusing. And once you're all the way out, then you can push here, rotate, and then that lifts out. And that technically is the lens. So inside here, there is nothing. That just takes you through to the mirror. So if I open that, there we go, you can see now. So then, once you get all the way around to the push and hold, yeah, there we go. So just push and hold, and then that comes out as well. So that is basically, you're down to the bare bones of the camera. That's everything there. Once again, push the thingamajigger, that comes off. So very similar to a Hasselblad, it is all what's that word? Modular. Let's see. There goes your waist level finder comes off. So anyway, so that's the S2A down to its bare bones. But let's put this camera back together again. So there it is. Drop that easily into place. That turns and clicks. There's its shutter release. It has a thread down the middle for a remote release, which I have used. There's also, is it on this one? Yes, so this here is another thread for a shutter release. So you can either screw your shutter release in here, or you can screw it in here on the bottom. But there we go, that then fires just by pushing. I think you can also turn this one, yes, you can turn it to lock it. And then push to fire. Other controls on here, we have shutter speed around here, 1 second, half a second, quarter of a second, an eighth of a second, I believe. There it is, 15th, 30th of a second, 60th, and so on up, 125, 250, 500, 1000, and then X. X is your flash sync speed, but that in fact, has this got the greens on it? Yes, it does. So green also tells you what you can sync the flash with, and as you'll see, it's a 15th of a second or slower. So not a great one for you're not getting any high-speed sync out of this. I'll tell you that for nothing. So that's roughly it for the camera itself. Oh, so the only other thing which you need to know is that the aperture is controlled around here. So if you look there, 2 fingers either side, you can see it. It gives you f2.8 on this particular lens, on this 75mm lens, you're getting f2.8 all the way up to f22. So there we go. That's that. I've just spent the last 10 minutes reading about how to identify S2s and S2As, and it would appear that these are, I think that these are the wrong way around. So this was sold to me as a Bronica S2, and this was sold to me as a Bronica S2A. But I think that's actually an S2, and that is an S2A. Let's do the Cosmo Photo Mono. This is part of what I love about film photography is just all the different things that you can try, and you know, no two films are the same, and you know how you treat two films. Oh, that's irritating. Can make a massive difference to the results. Let's load this. To start with, I'm going to push it in there. Okay, so that's bottom to top. What we're going to do is going to pull it around this way so that it shows the dark side of the backing paper. I've actually gone past the arrows for the start of the film. You're supposed to line them up with the red dot here, but I've kind of wound past that because it wouldn't take. So I'm going to load that in quickly now before I go any further. There we go. Right, let's push that closed, close that over, and then you load it up. If you don't line the arrows up with the red dot, if for example you wind a long way past it, this, so let me show you how this works on here now. So you can slot it in bottom first into two little hooks, and then click the top shut. Dark sliders in, and you'll see here, this is your window that shows you where your film is, and it's on S. And you're going to now wind the winding knob until that shows a 1, or rather, and it will click to a stop. But the way that it does that, the way that it measures how far to wind on until you get to the beginning of the film, it's just a set format for you know, that it's a certain distance between those arrows and the first frame. So what's now going to happen is this will actually wind on further than it should, which is, you know, I may lose the last frame. Then you start to get a bit of tension, a bit more tension, and then you get to the end of the click. So that's all ready to rock. So let's take it out and give it a spin. I will see how we got on. That's obviously the S2A we are taking out, not the S2, which is not an S2A. It's an S2, and the S2 is actually an S2A. So, everybody following? All right, let's go take some photos. I have decided. It's been about a week since I did the original part of the review, and it's been raining pretty much ever since. I've been waiting for an opportunity to get outside, so I've decided to do something different. The reason I'm talking quietly is because I'm in my garage, and I don't want to wake the neighbours. So I'll be, albeit, you know, as soon as I hit the shutter button on that BRONICA S2A, that should wake everyone up. But I'm going to do some abstract geometry stuff in my garage for the shoot for this BRONICA S2. Something different. And also, I kind of think, well, it's a good example of what you can do with your camera when it just will not stop raining. So, I have got a couple of lights set up. Got one here, which is not going to stay there. I'll move it. Another one here. So what I want to do is work with the walls and the kind of spaces that I've got here, maybe the floor a little bit. And work with the lighting, and I've actually conveniently got these, which are just some bits of metal. It's basically an old like clothes hanging rack I've dismantled recently. So I'm going to use those to throw some shadows. Let's see what we can do with them. I'm going to put the BRONICA, the S2A on a tripod. It's a little bit different, but why not? Right, we're all set up for the first frame we're going to shoot. It's a bit weird, but I'm going to show you. So I've got a light here, shining across this kind of grate. I've got the BRONICA S2A set up on a tripod, pointing straight down onto it, and this is what it's currently seeing. It's frame 1. Let's see how we get on. Let's knock this light off, which I can't reach. can. Oh, okay, let's see how that looks now. I quite like it. Got a 30th of a second. Don't know if this is, yeah, it feels like it's ready. Right, dark slide out. And quickly, my frame, happy. 3, 2, 1. All right, I think that's probably enough of that one. Let's turn this the main light on again and reset for something different. Okay, so what I think I'm going to try and do is I've got the S2A set up here, shooting along the wall like that. And I think I'm going to take this same thing, I'm going to hang it from here, just clamp it onto there. Hopefully we'll create some interesting geometric effects. I'm just messing around really, trying different stuff. One of the things I want to show you with this is the wonderful short depth of field that you get at f2.8 on a medium format camera. So this is at 30th 2.8. Here we go. Click. Right, then we're set up again with something a little bit different again. So I'm just going to try and shoot straight up into these rafters. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to get a bit of symmetry into it. I'm going to position the camera right here, just looking straight up. We're at f16 now, so, and 1 second shutter. Here we go. Right then, time for new ideas. Maybe use that plus the rafters here. Something in this corner anyway. Let's do that next. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. So there we go. That was the test shoot with the BRONICA S2A. A bit of an unusual test shoot. I don't do many camera tests in my garage, but it's not that it wasn't a test. It showed various qualities of the camera and what it can do. One of the things that we got from some of those first images was that very short depth of field that it is possible to achieve with this camera. You will start arguments if you start asking around online about equivalent depth of field between 35mm and medium format. But I'm going to tell you that the depth of field at 2.8 is kind of equivalent to somewhere around an f1.6 on a 35mm. But I wouldn't go asking anybody that on a forum because you'll get a load of snotty old people going meh, meh, meh. Essentially, medium format, digital and film, does allow you a very short depth of field, generally, as long as your f-stop allows that as well. The bigger the sensor, the shorter the depth of field is theoretically possible. Anybody wants to argue, chuck it up in the comments. I don't really care. I know what my camera does and I know what I use it for. So, but there we go. So I appreciate that not everybody will have come to this video wondering how good the BRONICA S2A is for abstract geometry shot inside your own house. So I'll chuck up a few photos at the end of this to show. I've been using this now for a good year or so. And it's versatile. It will do almost anything you want. It takes great photos. And as mentioned before, I'm very happy with it. It's a great camera. It's heavy, it's chunky, it's bulky, it's noisy. All the things I like about a camera. I was going to say reliable, but that's not what they're famous for. They take nice images. They are fun to use. They look awesome when you're out and about. So let's just as a parting gift for you, I'm going to fire it once more. In fact, ready? I would say that if you're looking to get into medium format, I mean, they're easy cameras to use. Like I say, reliability is a little bit iffy. The S2s and the S2As have some problems, some known issues. So tread carefully. I would say that buying them off eBay like I've done is a bit of a gamble. You know, maybe don't spend more. Well, just protect yourself. Make sure that you can return it if it's faulty, or be ready to do some fixing. So here are some other photos that I've taken with this camera before I sign off, just to show you that it can do almost anything. All right, thanks for watching.